On his 15th birthday, Jade, our main character, was finally eligible to receive a job blessed by the church. Little did Jade know, his job change ceremony would take a disastrous turn. Eventually, Jade found himself in a desolate land filled with monsters. He was attempting to hunt slimes. After hours of pursuit, Jade finally managed to trap his first slime. He was furious that a mere slime had made him go through all this trouble. Without wasting any time, he swung his short sword at the slime. The slime evaded his attack. To his astonishment, the slime coiled around Jade's right arm, restricting his movements. Caught off guard, Jade was unprepared for the slime's attack. In a panic, he caught a fleeting glimpse of his past life. He remembered he needed to muster some confidence. After all, he was the only novice in this realm. With all his might, Jade seized the slime, even using his mouth to free his hand. He hurled it into the air. Once the slime was airborne, Jade seized the opportunity to stab at its mana core. He finally defeated his first slime. Afterward, he collected its mana stone. To his surprise, it was much lighter than he anticipated. Jade opened his status window to confirm he earned a skill point for defeating the slime. Upon confirming, he jumped for joy and sprawled out on the grass. This meant his theories about this world were accurate. He recalled just a few hours earlier, he had to return home to tell his father about failing the job change. Jade expressed his apologies for disappointing his father, but his father showed no concern. He told Jade he shouldn't have bothered returning home, as he was an embarrassment. Jade attempted to argue that it was too harsh, and his father should reconsider. In response, his father tossed a bag of money at him. He called it a parting gift. From that moment on, Jade was no longer recognized as his father's child. He was told to take the money and leave. That was how Jade found himself wandering aimlessly after losing his home. He understood his father had always been obsessed with appearances. However, it was shocking that he would actually disown Jade over such a matter. Jade realized the money he received was just enough to escape his father's land, likely what his father intended. Jade pondered what his next move should be. Suddenly, a severe headache struck, making him feel as if his head might burst. Simultaneously, he sensed memories and knowledge flooding into his mind. Jade noticed several scenes flashing before his eyes. At first, he couldn't comprehend it, until he realized these were memories from his past life. Now Jade remembered. His past self had played a game called Navi Strongest Online, or NSO. In his previous life, he was surrounded by NSO-related items in his room, possessing ample knowledge of the game. He had even achieved the top rank among all players. JB recalled being the only player to use the novice job throughout the game, and he became the strongest in the world. Now it was time to explore how a novice became the strongest. Jade realized early on that a novice had limitless potential, as it was the foundation of all other jobs. Only Jade understood that a novice could learn every skill from any job, a guaranteed path to strength. Now, as his headache began to fade, Jade began to understand something crucial. The world he inhabited felt eerily reminiscent of NSO. From civilization levels to the monsters' looks, everything mirrored NSO. Even roles like novice, knights, and magicians were present. It was hard to accept. He couldn't resist testing his doubts. Jade accessed his status. This was something others in this realm remained oblivious to. After checking his status, a grin spread across his face, followed by laughter. This truly was NSO's world, and his job wasn't useless. Mastering it could make him the strongest. He headed to a weapon shop, spending all his travel funds on a knife. Jade remembered that novices needed skill points, or SP, to learn skills. After an hour of chasing, he finally defeated a slime and earned his first skill point. He realized he needed to gather more skill points and learn various skills to grow stronger, so he set out to hunt for more. Jade hunted several more slimes, giving it his all. It got tough and frustrating at times. After 2 hours, he finally earned 10 Man of Stone. This also meant he gained 10 skill points, enough to buy the skill surge. He opened the unacquired skills page and purchased it. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed in his mind, announcing he had acquired the skill search. It felt surreal. Setting aside the oddity, Jay tested out the search skills. This skill enabled him to locate nearby monsters. Jade detected a slime's presence just ahead, confirming the skill's effectiveness. With this, finding slimes while steering clear of powerful monsters would be much simpler for poor Jade. For now, he thought having this many Man of Stone was sufficient. He had a plan for these Man of Stone and intended to craft something. He arrived in town and found a cheap inn. There, he spent the night working on his creation using the Man of Stone. Jade aimed to create a specific magic tool by etching magic circles onto the Mana Stone. He remembered that originally, crafters made magic tools using various ingredients and unique skills, but Jade knew he could craft them too, as long as he carved the circles accurately. His past obsession with NSO led him to memorize every magic circle in the game, and now he was thankful for that knowledge. The magic circle he inscribed on the Mana Stone was one he stumbled upon near the game's conclusion. Carving them with such detail proved challenging, and the only downside was the time it consumed since it had to be done manually. After finally finishing the magic circles on all the Man of Stone, Jade lay back, hoping for a significant increase in skill point accumulation. The next day, Rain brought the magic tools he had crafted the previous day and ventured into the forest west of the city. He utilized his skill to evade dangerous monsters while exploring deeper. Soon, Jade finally encountered the monster he had come for. The Rush Boar, a highly aggressive monster, was strong enough to send even warrior adventurers flying. Under normal circumstances, facing such an opponent would likely mean his demise. But the strategy to defeat this beast was ready to be executed. Jade crept closer to the Rush Boar, careful not to be detected. However, the Rush Boar spotted him sooner than anticipated, forcing him to activate the magic circle and employ the change skill inscribed on the Mana Stones. The small Man of Stone in his grasp transformed. A larger Man of Stone emerged. This confirmed to Jade that his plan was successful. As for the Rush Boar, the monster collapsed to the ground with a thud, as if it had lost consciousness. Jade stepped out from behind the tree, recalling that the magic circle he carved last night was meant for the change skill, which swaps the engraved Mana Stone with the target monster's Mana Stone. Jade gained two advantages from this. First, he could obtain Man of Stone if the monster was stronger than him. He approached the Rush Boar, ensuring its magic barrier was down. He remembered the second and most crucial benefit of change. It inflicted a powerful debuff on the targeted monster. Now, Jade used his dagger to finish off the Rush Boar as it took its last breaths. He earned skill points for defeating the Rush Boar. Jade took a moment to recover and recalled that every monster possessed a unique Mana Stone, the source of their power. Similarly, the Slime had a Slime Mana Stone, and the Rush Boar had its own unique Mana Stone. Jade checked his skill points balance. It was now at 100 after defeating the Rush Boar, and he explained that the change concept involved swapping the Mana Stone of a stronger monster with a smaller one, rendering them immobile due to insufficient mana. After he swapped the Stone Man of Rush Boar with a lesser version made of slimes, the Rush Boar showed signs of anemia, unable to move due to depleted mana, meaning the magical barriers would also fall. Jade employed this alteration skill to significantly weaken the chosen monster. He began his return, realizing this strategy wouldn't work against creatures with far superior mana, like dragons. Nevertheless, mid-tier monsters were no challenge for this approach, and he just happened to encounter such creatures. Did Jade spot a nest of enormous hornets along the way? He concealed himself, using search magic to observe the nest. He counted 2 hornets outside and 6 within the nest. With 9 Mana Stones inscribed with the change skill left, he figured it would work, especially since only 8 were present while others searched for food. Jade assumed any party would either have a strong potion ready, or at least someone capable of detoxification. Approaching a giant hornet's nest without either would guarantee annihilation. However, Jade had prepared these Mana Stones with chains. He activated 8 simultaneously, targeting the hornets within range. The Stone Man disappeared from his grasp. At the same time, the giant hornets sensed a shift in their bodies. Jade's activation of the change skill was effective, as he acquired the Mana Stones from the hornets. Their bodies began to collapse mid-flight. Jade felt a twinge of guilt for using such a one-sided tactic, but survival came first. He finished off the barely alive hornet. This led him to gain around 500 skill points. With that many points, he sought to acquire the most fitting skill for the situation, costing him about 100 skill points. Once again, an annoying loud voice informed him of receiving the storage skill, which, as the name implied, was based on storage magic. He proceeded to store the entire giant hornet's nest. He could access the items from storage at his convenience. He was thrilled to secure the giant hornet's nest, as it contained ultra-royal jelly, which could fetch a good price. Now he only needed to retrieve the corpse of the Rush Boar he had defeated earlier. He wondered why he hadn't stored the Rush Boar before defeating it. Setting that aside, he calculated that his storage space was insufficient for the rush boar's body unless he upgraded it. He decided to enhance the storage level, investing all remaining skill points to elevate the storage skill to level 3. Jade was getting accustomed to this process, activating the storage magic again, which was now significantly larger. He prayed for the deceased monster and placed it in storage, believing it would make a worthy meal. Afterward, he thought it was time to return to the city and liquidate his assets. Jade made his way to the Adventurers Guild to trade the materials. There, he noticed a board indicating to head right for selling large-scale materials. Jade didn't remember seeing a trading spot like this in the game. For now, he followed the signs and found a large area where massive monsters were being dismantled for their materials. Jade approached with his storage magic activated. He asked the receptionist if she could buy the rush boar from him. The receptionist was taken aback and inquired where he had obtained it. Jade struggled to come up with a response. He simply stated he retrieved it from his storage. Then he recalled that the storage skill he was using was a unique novice-level ability. Typically, others in this world would require a magic bag for storage, similar to his skill, but the sizes varied greatly. He didn't mind disclosing the storage magic. As she eyed him suspiciously, Jade explained he had just used storage magic. She claimed to have never heard of it, which only heightened his suspicion. Eventually, she relented and asked Jade to show her his adventurer's ID. Jade had nothing to say in response, except that he didn't possess an adventurer's ID yet. This surprised her, prompting her to question how someone who could defeat a rush boar wasn't an adventurer. Jade explained he had just begun his journey as an adventurer. Jade realized his reaction was predictable, but revealing the truth about change was out of the question. Since she wouldn't grasp it either, he opted for silence. The receptionist sighed, agreeing to purchase the rush boar, wishing he could at least register as an adventurer. Jade acknowledged her point, yet he believed he should focus on improving his offensive and defensive abilities first. Then a thought struck him. There might be another option. He inquired if he could take the exam, and she immediately grasped his hands, eager to help him decide. She introduced herself as Sylvia, the guild's receptionist. Jade also shared his name with her. Sylvia instructed him to follow her to the guild hall to get the examination paperwork ready. After Jade completed the forms and details, Sylvia frowned upon seeing he filled in his Javas and Navas, asking him twice if he was certain. Jade readily confirmed he had no job, showing no hesitation. She then sadly informed him that a novice had no chance of passing the adventurer exam. Jade mentioned hearing about an alternative method involving monster subjugation with an examiner, to which she nodded, acknowledging its existence. However, she expressed doubt, questioning if he truly defeated the rush boar, suggesting he might pass the exam. Jade could see her skepticism, but it didn't matter. She went to notify the examiner. After a brief wait, Jade was approached by the examiner. A massive man with a fearsome expression asked Jade if he was the novice with a death wish attempting the adventurer's registration exam. Jade felt intimidated by the examiner's size, hesitantly confirming he wanted to take the test. The examiner introduced himself as Ramen, assuring Jade that if he got scared during the exam, he would protect him and handle the monster. However, upon closer inspection of Jade, Ramen advised Jade to reconsider his ambition of becoming an adventurer, deeming him too weak. Jade chuckled, confident he would definitely pass the exam. Ramen figured it was ultimately Jade's decision, instructing him to select the location where he wanted to face monsters. He assumed Jade would opt for an area with weaker foes. Jade accepted the offer. He made his way directly to the eastern forest. Jade remained alert as he entered the forest alongside the examiner. In the midst of their journey, the examiner noticed Jade moving with such assurance as if he knew the monster's whereabouts. Jade confirmed he did. This made Ramen wonder if a kid like him could possess tracking magic, a skill reserved for seeker jobs. At that moment, Jade detected the monster he sought. He pointed in the direction, indicating to Ramen they should head that way. But when Ramen spotted the monster, he was terrified, urging Jade to turn back immediately. Jade casually asked why, while Ramen, astonished, questioned if he truly didn't recognize the monster. Ramen informed him it was an earthquake monster. This creature was extremely dangerous, possessing a massive body and exceptional strength. It earned the name Earthquake due to the tremors it caused with each step. Moreover, adventurers greatly feared this monster for its overwhelming power, earning it the nickname Tank Killer. However, Jade felt confident, knowing this monster was vulnerable to change skill. In other words, Earthquake stood no chance against him. Yet Ramen was in a panic, explaining why they shouldn't challenge it, insisting it would lead to their demise if they didn't flee. Jade knew Ramen was mistaken. The earthquake monster had already noticed them. It was simply ignoring them, believing it could easily eliminate them. Ramen covered his head with his hands, convinced it was over, unable to escape while protecting Jade. Just then, Jade called out to him. He mentioned that his fighting style was a bit unique as he retrieved a magic tool with chains. Ramen told him to do as he pleased since they were already doomed, after which Jade activated the change magic. He targeted the earthquake. In an instant, a massive stone figure appeared in Jade's grasp. The earthquake screamed in agony. It collapsed, leaving a shattered ground in its wake. Ramen couldn't comprehend how that earthquake had fallen. He pondered deeply, trying to grasp what had just transpired. He asked Jade what he had done, and Jade explained he simply activated a magic tool called Change that swapped the stone man in his grasp with the one trapped in the earthquake's body. The monster just collapsed, drained of mana. Ramen had no idea such a wild magical tool existed, while Jade just presented undeniable proof of its reality. Rain settled onto a stone, placing the earthquake's stone man into storage. He realized he just needed to wait, as the quake would soon cease. The slime's stone man was too small to last long. Jade simply waited as it gradually faded away. Yet, Ramen pondered if that monster was truly alive, thinking they should seize the moment to defeat it. This thought ignited his urge to rush in and eliminate the creature immediately. Jade flinched, halting Raymond, reminding him he was merely an examiner. Seeking support would breach the rules. Raymond complied, sitting down as Jade advised patience while the creature perished on its own. Jade was on edge. If Ramon intervened, he would miss out on skill points. Jade checked his skill points, finally seeing the total reach 400. This indicated the monster had perished. Jade opted to spend 200 of those points to enhance his storage magic. Afterward, he followed the usual method to collect the monster's remains post-defeat. However, the storage process felt bizarrely swift for Ramon. He inquired where the earthquake had gone. Jade explained he had stored it using his magic. This was yet another concept that left poor Ramen bewildered. On another note, Jade asked Ramen if he had passed the exam. Ramen, taken aback, replied that it was obvious. Jade had aced it. Later, they returned to the guild where Sylvia greeted them. She then inquired about the exam's outcome. Ramen, calm and composed, suddenly erupted with excitement, telling Sylvia that Jade was exceptional and even suggested ranking him immediately. Sylvia knew Ramen wasn't one for jokes. Without delay, she went to fetch the guildmaster. Jade thought her reaction was excessive. There was no way the guildmaster would come to register a rookie adventurer, yet he was surprised when the guildmaster actually arrived. The old man asked Ramen if he truly intended to give that novice examiner a B rank. Rimmons passionately recounted the events of the exam. The guildmaster pondered deeply before stating it was hard to believe without proof. Raymond pointed out that Jade had the earthquake monster stored in his mysterious magic, providing the evidence. Sylvia confirmed that Jay indeed possessed such storage magic. The guildmaster expressed a desire to see this so-called evidence. They all proceeded to the dismantling facility, where Jade activated his storage magic. He warned everyone to step back a bit, as it was dangerous to be too close. Jade then retrieved the earthquake's corpse from storage. It was so heavy that it shattered the dismantling facility's floor, sending dust flying. Sylvia and the guildmaster stared in shock, their eyes wide. They witnessed the earthquake truly emerging. Afterward, Jay reached into storage, claiming he had something else. He pulled out the stone man from the earthquake, which he had obtained earlier. So, you finally grasped the cause of it. When she observed the dismantling of Rushbore earlier, they couldn't locate its mana stone. Instead, a shattered stone seemed to have replaced it. The guildmaster was quite fascinated by this tactic. He acknowledged Jade's fighting style. With sufficient evidence in hand, the guildmaster had no doubts and approved Examiner Jade. He promised maximum incendus for the materials he wished to trade. Afterward, Jay received his adventure ID ranked E. Sylvie explained they had actually considered giving him a B rank from the beginning. However, ranking strictly depended on contributions made, so the highest they could grant Jade at that moment was Ran E. Nonetheless, she had good news to share along with it. In exchange, they elevated Jade to the status of a 3-star hunter. This unique system permitted adventurers to undertake missions above their rank, allowing Jade to tackle B-rank tasks. He realized he was effectively seen as rank B. Clearly, the guild had his back. He expressed his gratitude, but Sylvia hinted there was more to discuss. She handed him the payment for the materials he provided today, totaling 410,000 payas. Jade was astounded by the sum, which included 300,000 pars for a giant hornet nest and 130,000 for a rush boar, minus a 20,000 registration fee. He tucked the money away, feeling he could relax for a bit, and thanked Sylvia for all her help. Sylvia reassured him not to fret. They looked forward to his next visit. As Jade exited the guild, he noticed Dawn had already arrived. He hurried off to hunt more slimes and to carve additional mana stones of change. The following day, Jade arrived at a specific location with a plan he had devised. Equipped with 20 mana stones of change and having leveled up his search skill by 3, he activated it. This skill expanded his search radius, covering the entire forest until he spotted exactly what he needed. He made his way to a designated area deep within the forest. He ensured there were plenty of monsters around, including rush boars and giant hornets. Next, he retrieved a slightly larger mana stone than usual. He tossed it into the air after activating the change skill. This time, the Man of Stone targeted various monsters throughout the vicinity. Their mana began to be drawn towards the change-infused mana stone. Jade seemed to be plotting something unusual as the Man of Stone began behaving erratically, releasing strange magic into the air. Or perhaps it was disintegrating into fragments. This triggered a large-scale magical disturbance, summoning dark clouds overhead. At that moment, bizarre creatures and ghostly forms began to encircle Jade. They resembled woolly shapes. Jade recognized these beings as phantoms. Phantoms are wolf-like monsters lacking physical forms, immune to physical attacks, and capable of absorbing most magical assaults, making them quite perilous. However, since they lack a physical body, using change would eliminate them. Their existence would end once he swapped all the slime mana stones for those of the phantoms. Through this tactic, Jade successfully obtained an exceptionally rare Phantom Mana Stone, a high-quality item that could restore a human's mana. He stored the Phantom Mana Stone, confident it would fetch a high price when sold. As for summoning these phantoms, Jade was deliberately causing a magical calamity, an event that birthed phantoms. He triggered this calamity by activating a slightly defective change tool, which collects mana from all beings in the vicinity and then releases it in one spot, causing a magical disaster. Magical calamities are extremely rare, and when they occur, they often give rise to entirely new monsters, like phantoms. Jade amassed a total of 2,500 skill points simply by defeating phantoms. Now it was finally time to invest those points into physical enhancement and martial arts skills. These skills, as their name suggests, boosted both his physical power and fighting techniques, enabling him to fight bare-handed or with swords. Jade upgraded them to level 4 immediately, exhausting all his skill points. Afterward, he hunted another rush boar and used faulty change mana stones to recreate the situation, summoning 7 more phantoms. He spent all the skill points gained to elevate physical enhancement to level 7 and martial arts to level 6, wondering how strong he would become. He approached a massive boulder and kicked it while his skill was active. Jade sent the boulder soaring like a ball into the sky. It crashed down, causing some destruction in the forest. He hadn't anticipated such overwhelming power. He realized this wasn't something a mere human should be capable of. Now, Jade craved a strong opponent before heading home, and he soon encountered the perfect target, a shadow wrestler. It was deemed as dangerous as an earthquake, though significantly weaker. Jade knew these shadow wrestlers possessed immense attack power, but they also had a clear vulnerability. This time, Jade resolved to defeat the monster using only his strength. The shadow wrestler lunged forward to strike at Jade. The shadow wrestler lunged forward, ready to strike Jade. Jade easily sidestepped it, his instincts sharp. He observed that the shadow wrestler dealt significant damage. Yet he recognized their vulnerability, a lag in their movements. He delivered a kick to its neck, sending it tumbling. Jade remained unharmed. In contrast, the shadow wrestler seemed furious with him. Jade anticipated a more frenzied assault, but it was manageable. The creature's strikes followed a predictable rhythm. It initiated with a forward lunge, a calculated move. Next came a palm strike, then a brief pause after a missed hit. Jade targeted its neck again, kicking it as before. He pinned it down once more, maintaining his balance. Jade noticed the shadow wrestler rising again. This time, it altered its attack strategy. It prepared to unleash its signature move, a rapid headbutt charging at Jade with increased force. However, Jade anticipated this. He leaped onto the shadow wrestler. He pressed his knee against its neck. Now Jade exploited its second flaw. The shadow wrestler couldn't halt its aerial maneuver without lifting its head, which he was currently restraining. He pushed it forward until it crashed into a rock wall. It took more damage. Meanwhile, Jade remained untouched, toying with his prey. This time, the shadow wrestler stayed down. Jade earned skill points for subduing it. He restored the shadow wrestler's form, feeling a sense of pride. It had been ages since he defeated a monster without relying on transformation. Jade felt pleased. He was steadily growing stronger. Afterward, he strolled home. Suddenly, he spotted a group of shady individuals dragging someone away. Their actions screamed kidnapping. He ducked behind a tree. Peering through the foliage, he saw them carrying a girl. They boasted about capturing a valuable gem to sell. Jade tensed. He couldn't let them escape. He resolved to intervene and acquire some assassination skills for the task. With no time to waste, Jade activated the skill code for the assassination arts. He quickly closed the gap to the kidnappers. Once in sight, he concealed himself behind the trees, planning to disorient them. He picked up a rock from the ground. He threw it at the tree behind the bandaged man. The moment he glanced away, Jade moved in. He activated Shikuchi, the assassination skill, closing the distance. Before the bandaged man could react, Jade delivered a swift kick to his stomach. He took him down silently. Unfazed, Jade watched the man collapse. The others turned, sensing something was amiss. Jade slipped back into hiding. He checked his status to confirm his points. He received points for defeating the man without killing him. As the kidnappers set the girl down to assess their fallen comrade, Jade overheard them realizing someone was interfering. Jade understood there were various ways to earn SP beyond monster hunting. Defeating bandits creatively was one. This involved knocking them out with Shikuchi, administering an overdose of truth serum, and cursing them to prevent further evil deeds. No matter the approach, SP was only earned if the target survived. The bandits suspected their obstacle was still lurking, so they stayed alert. Jade, however, had already taken down that bandit. He needed to verify their identities first. Now that he was sure, he felt no reason to hold back. Emerging from his hiding spot, Jade was met with laughter from the bandits, who found it amusing that a kid dared to confront them. Jade cautioned them against hastening their demise by calling him a kid. He was practically an adult, even if still inexperienced. The bandits were stunned, unable to fathom how an adult could still be a novice. One of them urged the others to stop panicking. The bandits decided to capture Jade as well. After all, a novice adult like him could fetch a good price. Jade wasted no time, hurling his short sword at them. The bandit thought it was foolish for the kid to be so overconfident. Yet he soon realized he was the real fool. He watched as the kid produced a stone seemingly from nowhere. Then he threw it with astonishing speed. The bandit couldn't evade the stone. It struck him squarely in the face, causing him to bleed out. The last bandit was furious. He charged at Jade, swinging a fist toward his face. Jade, however, remained unflustered. He skillfully dodged the blow using his martial arts. The bandit's fist smashed into the ground instead. Jade retaliated with a punch aimed directly at the bandit's face. The impact knocked him down, crashing against a tree. Seeing the state of the bandit left Jade somewhat astonished by his own strength. Setting that aside, he checked on the girl, finding her merely unconscious. Jade untied her hands and feet, then chose to sit beside her, waiting for her to regain consciousness. He wished he could use healing magic on her, but his SP was too low, leaving him pondering other options. Suddenly, he spotted some monstrous eagles approaching, ready to attack. Yet, he couldn't have asked for better luck in this situation. He utilized the altered magic stones against the power eagles. They plummeted from the sky almost instantly. After dispatching them, Jade realized the timing was perfect as he gathered the mana stones from the power eagles. He then used the skill points to acquire the heal skill. Jade cast healing magic on the girl. Slowly, she opened her eyes and regained consciousness. She asked where she was. Suddenly, she noticed the bodies scattered around and jumped, startled by Jade. Then she looked at Jade, confusion etched on her face. If he told her that one of the guys lying there was merely unconscious, she apologized, claiming her head was spinning. But from what she could see, she suspected he was the one who saved her. Jade nodded, reminding her that she had been abducted. The girl recalled that, but instead of abduction, she described it as more of a scam. She recounted her story, explaining that she was an artist, but her work had gone largely unnoticed, leaving her in poverty. One day, a man with a bandaged face approached her, promising a chance to earn more as an artist. She hadn't paid much attention when he led her to a shady location. Then, he abruptly announced that she was going to be sold off. She couldn't recall anything from that moment. Jade was intrigued to learn she was an artist and inquired about her specialty. She responded by displaying her tools. She explained that she was a sculptor and, despite her appearance, had confidence in her abilities. Jade hadn't anticipated she would be a sculptor. Without hesitation, he asked if she would be willing to work for him. Without wasting a moment, he inquired whether she was okay with taking a job for him. Caught off guard by the sudden invitation, she asked him to clarify his intentions. Jade chuckled as he offered his apologies. He shared that he was a novice adventurer in need of various magical tools for his quests. She was fascinated to learn about someone who could create magical tools by physically carving them, though she lacked knowledge of magic circles. Jade reassured her it would be manageable since he had samples for her to reference, as he could replicate most magic circles. She sensed he had some incredible experiences. Meanwhile, she struggled to make ends meet. This could be a fantastic chance for her. Yet, she doubted her ability to handle such a task, even without being a specialist. Jade explained why he wanted to hire her. The magic tools he required could only be mass-produced through hand carving. He elaborated that typically, a craftsman would need rare materials for magic tools, but it would be amazing if she could carve them flawlessly. Gina considered that she might be able to assist him in that scenario. After Jade asked if she was willing to give it a shot, she responded that she owed him for saving her life. So, she genuinely wanted to help him. Jade liked her enthusiasm and anticipated collaborating with her. Jens felt the same way. They sealed their newfound partnership with a handshake. Now Jade remembered something he had nearly overlooked, discussing her pay. He stored the bandits while asking if she could wait to discuss her salary until he traded in his earnings. Gina, flustered, replied she was fine with any amount as long as it met basic living standards. Jade decided to revisit the topic later. He glanced at the bandit he had just knocked out instead of killing him like the others. Then he recalled something and immediately told Gina he had a task for her. Jade wanted to track the other bandits, so he asked her to carve something on a stone man. Jay sketched the design on paper for her reference and showed her the magic circle to carve on one of the mana stones he obtained from Power Eagles. Gina quickly retrieved her sculpting tools from her magic bag. She began crafting the magic circle as Jade instructed. He was surprised she had a table and all those tools with her. After a few minutes of waiting, Gina announced she was finished. Jade was astonished. That was incredibly quick. Not even 3 minutes had passed. To top it off, he was amazed that the magic circle turned out perfectly. He expressed his gratitude for her flawless carving and advised her to move to a safe distance, as it could be risky if the activation failed. Gina complied, while Jade was confident that such quality wouldn't fail. He simply didn't want her to witness him inserting the magic tool into the bandit's body. Nervousness washed over Jade, but he had to proceed. He positioned the mana stone just above the heart, working with intense concentration. Finally, he sealed the wound with a bit of healing. The magic tool he implanted in the bandit was the Curse of Anti-Guilt, designed to prevent evil actions. Jade thought it would have been acceptable to eliminate this unconscious bandit like the other two, but he wanted to investigate if a larger human trafficking operation was behind him. Thus, this magic tool would also serve as bait to track them all. He was genuinely impressed by Jaina's sculpting skills as she completed it in no time. He thanked her for her effort. He noted that the magic tool activated seamlessly. Gina felt relieved it went well, after which Jade preferred to return to the guild. However, he asked Gina if she could assist him with some slime hunting first. Later, he approached the guild reception and filled out some paperwork. Jade mentioned he had just returned after completing his transaction at the dissection facility. Riemann, curious, inquired how much he earned, to which Jade replied he made around 4 million powers. Romain was so shocked that he dropped the barrel he was holding. Roman asked him what on earth he sold to make that much money. Jade replied he sold a rush boar, a shadow wrestler, and about 15 phantom cores, which alone were worth 3 million pares. Romain was astonished to hear about the phantom cores. Moreover, the fact that Jade defeated them was just unbelievable. Jade insisted it was merely luck, but Ramon had heard that phantoms were rarer than dragons. In the end, Riemann conceded that Jade's stories were endlessly surprising, so he picked up the barrel. He walked away, pondering those 4 million pars. Afterward, Gina inquired how long Jade took to gather the items he sold earlier. Jade mentioned it was just 1 day. This left her grappling with a hard-to-believe dilemma. She thought that would suffice, considering she earned only 10% of that in an entire month. Jade figured her life must have been quite tough. Then, a girl named Mika arrived, apologizing for keeping Jade waiting. She was responsible for investigating the bandit situation and invited Jade to sit. She informed him that no stolen items were found with the bandits, but they could reclaim anything taken from them. Gina discovered her hat among the recovered items. Good for her. Now on to the main issue. Mika marked the location on the map where Jade encountered the bandits. Jade confirmed the site, mentioning there were 3, and he had knocked one out, cursing him to refrain from evil. He used his search magic to locate that man, discovering he hadn't moved from the spot, indicating he was still unconscious. Mika was impressed by Jade's remarkable feats, which made him curious about how she knew his name. Mika claimed to have heard a lot about him from Ramon, including his ability to defeat an earthquake with just a finger. Jade felt a bit bashful from the praise. She then redirected the conversation back to the bandits, mentioning she would seek his help for tracking in the future. His reward would vary based on the bandits they pursued. Jay accepted the task, marking the end of his day as he headed to an inn. He requested 2 extra rooms and also rented a workshop for Gina to use. However, he asked Gina if she was certain about working today. She insisted she was fine, claiming it would only take her 3 hours to carve the 60 magic circles Jade requested. He happily provided her with 60 mana stones from slimes. This included one from the Power Eagle, along with a reference image for the magic circles she needed to carve on both types. Gina carefully examined the stones to begin her task. Jade felt pleased to see her so focused. Just as he was about to give her space, she called out. She wanted to thank him for saving her life today. Jade reassured her it was nothing to worry about. And just like that, it turned into a long day, his first as an adventurer. The next day, Jade approached the workshop and knocked on the door. When he received no answer, he peeked inside. He found Gina peacefully asleep after finishing her work. She appeared to be sleeping soundly. Jade could tell she must have been exhausted to sleep in the workshop. He then examined the stones, which had been expertly carved with magic circles. Amazingly, all of them were of identical quality. Jade placed them in a bag, grateful for her hard work. Afterward, he resumed using his change skill to accumulate skill points. Currently, he possessed around 69 change magic tools and 1 area menace tool. The area menace tool was known to attract numerous monsters to its activation site, making it a rare find. Jay intended to use it to summon more phantoms and gather skill points more effectively. But suddenly, he recalled he had forgotten the most crucial item, a faulty changed stone. Now, he needed to prepare the nanostones required for that faulty stone, which might delay him. Jade scanned the forest and stumbled upon a scale. It emitted a magical reaction similar to that of a rush board. Jade speculated there might be a powerful monster nearby. His suspicions were confirmed when he spotted a fish leaping from the water, targeting the Power Eagle above. It was a super rare fish known as the Divine Arrow, which returned to the water after hunting the eagle. Jade didn't expect to encounter something so extraordinary out here. So, he quickly utilized a change magic tool. With the slime stone on the Divine Arrowfish, he executed the same strategy to hunt it down. Jay stored the Power Eagle. For the Divine Arrow, he first performed some dissection. Jade realized he would need to process it for use. Then, he sensed a monster nearby. Jade opened his status and acquired a skill called Crescent Blade. He was eager to test that skill immediately. The target turned out to be yet another shadow wrestler that had yet to become aware of his presence. Jade resolved to finish it off in a single strike. If he firmly grasped the Divine Arrow and so swung it directly at the shadow wrestler, while activating his Crescent Blade ability. The mighty blade sliced through everything in its path, stones and trees alike. It then struck the shadow wrestler. The shadow wrestler attempted to evade the Crescent Blade at the last moment, but it was too late. The blade severed its limbs effortlessly. Jade was taken aback by the sheer destruction he caused with one blow. This was due to the incredible sharpness of the Divine Arrow. Additionally, the Crescent Blade skill unleashed a shockwave slash. And since it was still a level 1 skill, its power indicated the Divine Arrow amplified it. However, Jade understood that using a corpse like this wasn't a viable option later, so he needed to forge the material into a sword. He intended to have Sylvia connect him with a skilled blacksmith later, but first, he stored the Shadow Wrestler's remains. He also decided to utilize the Mana Stone of Divine Arrow to craft the faulty change tool. Instead of returning to have Jenna carve it, Jade opted to do it himself right there. Once finished, Jay felt underwhelmed by his carving. Compared to Gina's work, it looked subpar, but he didn't mind since he intended to use a faulty change anyway. Now, all that remained was to set the plan in motion. He activated the area menace. Then he quickly concealed himself, aware of the potential danger. Jade perched on a tree, waiting for 10 minutes, after which he understood why this magic tool was prohibited in the game. Dozens of monsters, from small to massive, gathered around the area menace tool. Giant hornets swarmed the mana stone, rush boars, wolves. Even species from the skies and underground were present. The next step was to activate the faulty change magic tool. He activated it and tossed it into the midst of the monster gathering. The altered stone radiated a bright glow. It began siphoning the mana from all the monsters nearby. This led to it being infused with an overwhelming amount of mana. The magic stone couldn't contain all that mana for long, resulting in another magical disaster that spawned phantoms. Jade was astonished this time. He hadn't anticipated this calamity to be so potent. It generated 61 phantoms. Without hesitation, he leapt into the fray to confront the phantoms. The phantoms charged toward him. Meanwhile, Jay stood still, activating his storage mat. He summoned the changed magic stones, enough to obliterate all the phantoms instantly. Jade dispatched all the phantoms with ease. He was left with 61 phantom mana stones scattered around. Jade felt grateful for this exceptionally fruitful hunt. Jade earned over 18,000 skill points from the 61 phantoms, making it quite a bounty. He spent some points to enhance his physical abilities by 17 levels. Afterward, Jay retrieved a stone. He gathered his strength to throw it and test his newfound power. This stone soared with such force that it shattered all nearby trees upon impact. Jade was impressed by the outcome, realizing he could now take down rush boars without relying on magic tools. As for the remaining skill points, he chose to acquire a skill that complemented martial arts, the Eye of X. This skill enabled him to perceive his opponent's movements by seeing their blood vessels, allowing him to target weak points effectively. Additionally, he could utilize search more precisely with this ability. He wanted to give it a shot before heading back. Jade searched and moved right toward the monster's location. He stumbled upon the ideal target, a rush boar. Jade activated the Eye of X ability. This skill revealed the blood flow within the rush boar, allowing him to predict its movements. Jade studied the rush boar intently and charged at it. He shifted his stance one step left, moving in the opposite direction. This confused the rush boar, causing it to lose its balance. Jade aimed for its left leg first. He delivered a kick to disrupt its movement. The rush boar took significant damage and struggled to stay upright. Jade targeted its legs next, kicking its calf to immobilize it temporarily. Then he retrieved a divine arrow from storage. He activated the Eye of X again. This time he focused on its neck. Jade unleashed the crescent blade. He cleanly severed the rush boar's neck, leaving a precise cut in the ground. From this encounter, Jade confirmed the skill's effectiveness and assessed his own strength. Definitely a productive day. He nearly forgot to collect the mana stone from the rush boar's remains. Afterward, he spent his remaining SP to enhance his search skill. He returned to the guild, and this time, Sylvia was taken aback to see Jade defeat a rush boar without any magic tools today, especially since he cleanly severed its head. A rare feat. Jade mentioned he just happened to possess a skill that reveals targets' weak points. Sylvia was genuinely surprised by Jade's impressive array of skills. Speaking of impressive, she asked if he had also hunted more phantom cores today. Jade flinched, claiming it was merely a lucky day. He knew that revealing his phantom cores would elicit an even more shocking reaction, so he decided to keep them to himself for now, though he thought about showing her his other finds. Sylvia was amazed when she saw a divine arrow. While not as rare as a phantom, it was still a legendary item. Jade expressed his desire to have it forged into a weapon. He asked if she knew any skilled blacksmiths nearby. Sylvia looked disappointed. She mentioned there was only one blacksmith capable of processing divine arrows, but there seemed to be more to the story. Jade made his way to the blacksmith's workshop. Just one glance at the place confirmed it was the right spot. He remembered Sylvia's worried expression when she said Verg was an excellent blacksmith, but there was one catch: his personality. Upon entering the workshop, he found the blacksmith, Verg, hard at work. His expression suggested he was easily angered. Jade placed an order to have the divine arrow crafted into a sword. Verg recognized its rarity but was puzzled how a kid like Jade acquired it. Jade inquired if he could request a sword. Verg replied that he was the only one capable of processing it. However, Verge seemed to reconsider as he turned around, and Jade thanked him for accepting the order. Jade thought Verge might be a bit blunt, but he was surprisingly easy to converse with. Perhaps he was in a good mood. Jade asked when he could pick up the sword, but Verge simply stated he would pay him double the market price. Jade was stunned to learn he would receive money for having a sword made, which felt off. Curious, he asked Verge why he mentioned double the market price. Verge clarified his statement. He insisted there was no way he would let a kid like Jade buy a sword crafted from such rare material. Verge valued his swords highly, not just in price. He also considered who he sold them to, refusing to sell a sword made for a kid like Jade. Instead, Verge offered Jade a substantial sum for the material to forge a sword, suggesting he sell it to someone skilled enough to wield it. Verge placed a bag of money on the table, offering it for the material. Jade was left stunned, feeling like he had been played by this infuriating blacksmith. Verge bluntly told him that a sword would only gather rust in the hands of a kid like him. That would be a waste for such high-quality material, so he figured Jade wouldn't mind selling it to Verge at double the market rate. However, Jade had a different opinion, and his body shook with rage. There was everything to mind about this. The money he could earn from selling phantom cores was tempting, but he knew he could never acquire another divine arrow, even at triple the cost. He then asked Verge if he would sell the sword to Jade if he could prove he wasn't just some weakling. Verge was confused by the kid's words, until Jade simply requested a chance to demonstrate his worth. Verge questioned Jade's seriousness. Jade believed there was room for negotiation if this guy truly cared about his sword finding a worthy owner. Verge decided Jade would need to showcase his abilities by defeating an opponent he would select, warning him of the potential for serious injury. Still, Jade accepted the challenge. Verge instructed Jade to return in 7 days for the duel. Jade left, contemplating how he would push his limits to see how strong a novice could become in just 7 days. After that, he returned to the inn. He handed Gina even more slime mana stones than before, and she noted it was quite a lot this time. Jade apologized for the sudden request, but it was crucial to have these ready by tomorrow, with change engraved on each. He knew it would be a challenge for her. She reassured him that she would complete it by tonight. Jade expressed his gratitude for her hard work and advised her not to overexert herself. The following day, Jade began with a plot to create area chaos, followed by a massive phantom hunt 3 times daily. He maintained this routine for 3 consecutive days. Afterward, Jade successfully mastered a secret technique and decided to test it out before the mock battle in 4 days. But first, he leveled up his existing skills, like physical enhancement and martial arts, to level 47. Jade tested his strength on a tree with a light tap of his finger. Then he delivered a light punch. The punch split the tree in 2. Jade lifted the top half with one hand. He set it down effortlessly to the side. He concluded that his skill foundation was solid enough to handle disaster-level monsters like krakens and wyverns. Next, he acquired the barrier skill and immediately boosted it to level 15. Jade activated the barrier. He assessed its toughness. He attempted to kick it. Jade concluded that the level 15 barrier was sufficiently strong. Now he needed to explore other defensive uses for barriers. He gathered strength in his legs. Then he jumped as high as he could. In midair, he cast a barrier beneath his feet and landed on it, jumping again. This confirmed his strategy of using barriers as footholds in the sky. This would provide an edge even in aerial battles. He descended using a barrier as well, and after landing safely, Jade upgraded the Eyes of X skill to level 10. Now, with the upgrade, Jade could utilize the Eyes of X without needing to activate it each time. He could analyze not only monsters, but also the terrain, enhancing his capabilities. Soon, he encountered a shadow wrestler while running. Since he was testing his strength, Jade simply grabbed the shadow wrestler by the tail. He activated the Eyes of X. He searched for the optimal spot to throw it. He hurled the shadow wrestler at a steep rock. Unable to dodge, the shadow wrestler crashed into it, breaking the top of the rock. Jade was now cleverly utilizing the terrain to maximize damage. Now Jade decided it was time to purchase that skill. So, he acquired the Invincible skill. This ultimate skill, known as Kokushin Yuzo, allowed the user to gain charge through attacks or taking hits. Once charged, it could be activated at will, granting temporary invincibility. Jade believed that even a dragon's breath wouldn't harm him during this period. It wouldn't drain any magic, and ultimately, Jade would become 50 times more powerful. This ability was among the most powerful, costing 10,000 skill points. And the best part? No further leveling was necessary. Now that he had it, Jade was eager to test it out. First, he needed to charge it. To do that, Jade decided to take on the Rush Boar. The Eye of X revealed the Rush Boar's movements ahead of time. It was preparing to charge at him with its signature tackle. Yet, to charge the invincible skill, Jade remained motionless, ready to absorb the hits without any defense. The Rush Boar's assault struck him with such force that Jade was sent flying several meters. But everything was unfolding as he had planned. Jade spotted the optimal spot on the ground. He used his hands to land efficiently, hitting the ground on his feet without rolling. He gauged the distance between himself and the Rush Boar, about 7 meters. Jade checked the charge progress bar. It had filled by 10% despite the heavy blow. Jade remembered that the progress bar filled based on impact distance, not damage, meaning he needed to take more hits. He would have to endure about 9 more hits from the Rush Boar. Jade repeated his strategy of absorbing hits 9 times. He noticed his health had only dropped by 1,000, leaving him with 50,000 more to spare. The good news? The progress bar for the invincible skill was finally full. It was time to put it to the test. Just as he was about to activate the invincible skill, Jade sensed something nearby. His search skill detected an unusual reaction. He quickly punched the Rush Boar to defeat it, then headed straight toward the source of the oddity and surge. Jade didn't want to waste his invincible skill on the Rush Boar now. The thing he sensed was an even greater threat. It emerged from the mountains. This creature had massive horns and sharp fangs. Jade dubbed it the failed divine dragon. Jade never anticipated encountering something like this in such a place. The failed divine dragon was a mutant version of a dragon, a result of human experiments gone wrong. However, due to its slight resemblance to divine dragons, this failed beast possessed the ability to mask its magical power from detection. That's why Jade could sense the creature but not its magical energy. Since this magical beast could be the strongest opponent he had faced so far, Jade decided to go all out. He activated his invincible skill to gauge just how formidable this dragon was. The failed divine dragon recognized Jade as a foe. As Jade prepared himself, the charged invincible skill enveloped him in a golden aura, making him appear invincible. With his true power unleashed, Jade charged in to see how the skill fared against the creature. Jade leaped from the ground. He delivered a direct kick to the divine dragon's fang. The fang shattered under the force of his kick. This revealed the dragon's eye lurking behind its mouth. The failed divine dragon let out a scream of agony. It locked its claws into the ground where Jade stood. Jade halted its claws with one hand, aided by the Eye of X. He identified the weak points to target on its claw. Jade struck those points with incredible force. One of the dragon's forearms was blown away. Jade was pushing the dragon back effortlessly in his invincible form. He realized it was surprisingly easy to defeat this creature. No secret moves needed, just raw power. The failed dragon prepared its abnormal fire breath. Jade was ready to take that hit head-on, yet it would send him flying and waste precious time while his invincible skill was active, so he chose to confront the dragon's breath with his barrier magic. The dragon, now desperate, unleashed a flawed breath attack. Jade reinforced his barrier, testing its durability against the onslaught. He stood firm against the dragon's breath, but cracks began to appear in his barrier. When the dragon's breath finally ceased, the ground surrounding the barrier lay in ruins. Jade's barrier held strong against the dragon's breath. He stood tall, like an overpowered protagonist. The dragon had exhausted its attacks. Seizing the moment, Jade used the barrier as leverage to strike at the dragon's jaw from below. Another blow sent the dragon reeling backward. He then seized the dragon's tail. With a powerful throw, he launched its entire body into the air, leaving it vulnerable to ranged strikes. Jade followed up with crescent blades aimed directly at the dragon's arm. He severed them cleanly. The dragon was left with just 2 legs and a tail. Before it could muster a desperate counterattack, Jade conjured another barrier, using it to accelerate his descent. He stomped down hard into the dragon's belly. The impact triggered a massive reaction, powerful enough to shatter the ground along with the dragon. Jade leaped away to a safer distance. He took a moment to survey the battlefield. The dragon was finally vanquished. Just in time, before his invincibility wore off, Jade knew that if he had been late, he would have had to resort to his secret move. Defeating the dragon netted him a mere 2,000 points, disappointingly low given its strength, simply because it was a failed dragon. Still, he figured it would have decent resale value. So, Jade stored the dragon's body in his inventory. but it failed due to exceeding capacity, prompting Jade to upgrade his storage by 10 levels before placing the dragon inside. He wondered how Sylvia would react upon seeing this dragon. 3 days later, he checked his status to review the skill points he had accumulated. He had amassed 142,900 skill points. From this, he acquired a new skill called Technique Collapse and leveled it up to 10. This skill nullified enemy magic. It would definitely be useful, as his challenge opponent would likely covet that divine arrow sword as well. Jade planned to acquire any necessary skills through code during the battle. Before heading into the fray, he maxed out his invincible progress charge to ensure victory. He was ready to face the battle now. On the day of the challenge, Jade made his way to the blacksmith's workshop. There, he spotted a swordsman named Verge, who appeared to be his opponent. Verge was impressed that the kid had the guts to show up for the challenge. He warned Jade that this was his last chance to back out. Jade dismissed the warning and directly asked where the battle would take place. Verge was taken aback by the kid's boldness. He informed Jade that a practice arena was located a short distance behind the workshop. Jade nodded, understanding, and followed Verge toward the arena. The trio, Jade, Verge, and the swordsman, navigated through the wooded path. Halfway through, the swordsman questioned Verge about dueling a kid, thinking it seemed far too easy. He couldn't fathom how a child could even defeat a divine arrow. Verge brushed off the question, urging him to just win the battle, as he was a B-rank adventurer. Jade overheard their conversation, irritation bubbling within him. But it was to be expected. Novices never physically change, regardless of their strength. It was normal for them to underestimate him. Jade assessed that since the swordsman was B rank, he might match his own strength when he was assigned E rank with 3 stars, equivalent to B rank. However, he anticipated the swordsman to be stronger, as that guy was closer to a higher rank, while Jade was still a novice. For now, gauging his strength was challenging. But he felt confident, having honed his skills since earning his rank. Plus, Jade possessed the legendary invincible skill. He felt assured that this battle was his to win. They soon reached the arena, far too grand for a mere blacksmith. The arena's vastness left the swordsman in awe. Verge then shared the history of this place, revealing it had been in his family for generations, sometimes used for evening duels. Now Verge handed the wooden sword to both challengers for their mock battle. Jade scrutinized it for a moment. The swordsman invited Jade to witness his unique sword swing. He aimed to impress Jade with his skills, hoping to intimidate him before the duel. Verge admired that slash, convinced he would secure victory. The swordsman glanced at Jade, questioning if he now understood the gap. He highlighted the difference between B rank and E rank. He warned Jade it was his final opportunity to withdraw. Jade's astonishment stemmed not from fear, but disbelief that someone like this swordsman could challenge him. This guy, likely riding the coattails of a strong team to rank up, was now facing him. Jade realized his assessment of the swordsman's abilities was accurate. He was simply too powerful. However, the swordsman's skills paled in comparison to Jade's. Jade couldn't even regard him as a true opponent. Having already accepted, Jade nodded, affirming he would indeed fight Void. Void felt insulted to be challenged by a child. He reminded Jade that he had already issued a warning. As their battle commenced, Void and Jade took their positions, with Verge signaling the start. Void made the first move. He aimed to end the pointless fight quickly with the crescent blade. Jade anticipated the attack and could have easily dodged. Instead, he opted to test his new skill, Spell Collapse. He neutralized the crescent blade strike from Verge. Jade remained unfazed, as if nothing had occurred. Meanwhile, voices. Both Verge and Void were stunned, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. Jade felt let down by such a feeble attack. He had hoped for a trap or a significant move. But it was nothing, so he unleashed his groundbreaking skill to move at incredible speed. He appeared to teleport right next to Void. Jade then positioned his sword at Voig's neck. He declared that this move should secure his victory. Vergenvois was still processing how a kid could defeat a B-ranked swordsman so effortlessly. Voig refused to accept it and demanded a rematch. This infuriated Jade, as he had won fair and square. Jade told Voig that regardless of how many times they fought, the outcome would remain unchanged. But Voig insisted Jade had merely been lucky. Jade remained unbothered by his foolish claims, until Voig proposed to pay for the sword if Jade won the next match. Jade found this intriguing. He agreed to a rematch, given Voig's insistence. Verge also believed a rematch was necessary, suspecting Jade had employed underhanded tactics that even he couldn't detect. Now Verge scrutinized Jade more closely after urging Voig to maintain his spirit and go all out from the beginning. Jade needed a spectacular victory this time to eliminate any doubts. So he resolved to utilize that skill. Jade asked Voig if he would also cover the arena repairs since he planned to go all out this time. Verge's pride took a hit, but he told Jade to proceed as he wished, assuring him there would be no charges for repairs. Jade felt relieved to hear that from the owner himself. Now, they readied themselves for the rematch. Voight believed this kid could neutralize the Crescent Blade, so he planned to close in and attack. But Jade's aura shifted dramatically as he activated his invincible skill. A golden light erupted around him, radiating immense magical energy. Both Verge and Voight felt chills from Jade's presence. Jade then plunged his sword into the ground. Voight was puzzled by Jade's decision to drop his weapon. Meanwhile, Jade concentrated all his strength into his legs. He slammed his right foot down. The force was so intense that it fractured the entire arena floor. This caused the ground beneath Bowie and Verge to crack and crumble. The arena trembled from the destructive force, damaging the walls in the process. Once the chaos subsided, Jade surveyed the scene nonchalantly. He noticed a hand emerging from the rubble, pleading for assistance. Jade approached the voice and helped the trapped figure. He freed them from the debris. Voight trembled in fear after witnessing the event. Jade turned to gauge Verge's reaction. Verge covered his face with his hands and fled in terror from Jade. Jade was taken aback by that response. He deactivated his invincibility, pondering what would happen to the sword he was about to retrieve. Jade lingered for a moment. He saw Voight sitting on the ground, looking as if he had been wronged by Jade. Jade felt leaving would be inappropriate, so he contemplated returning to the workshop. But then he spotted Verge rushing toward him, sword in hand. Verge handed him the sword, which rightfully belonged to Jade. Jade realized Verge hadn't actually run away after all. He drew the sword from its sheath. He examined the gleaming sharp edge, shining like the divine arrow. Then Jade noticed something on the sword's handle. He remembered they were enhancement crystals. These crystals boost a weapon's attributes, but for a novice like Jade, they would extend the duration of his skill effects. Jade surmised that Verge must have prepared this sword for Voight. An S-ranked crystal was rare in the market, and Verge wouldn't just give it away. Meanwhile, Verge was on the ground crying and slamming his fists, having spent 60 million powers on those enhancement crystals. Voight asked him what he meant. Verge explained he thought Voight would surely appreciate a weapon with those S-rank crystals. Now, not only did Verge not get the sword, but he also had to pay for it. Jade chuckled at the sight of those two unfortunate souls negotiating their losses. The following day, Jade was in his in-room. He decided to check on Gina. He found her at the table, engrossed in a book. He hadn't expected her to be awake, but there she was, ready to assist with anything Jade needed carved. Jade informed her there was no work today. He had come to give her something from a bag. She inquired about its contents. He replied it was her salary for her hard work. Jane was taken aback since she had only worked for a week this month. Jade explained he decided to pay her immediately. He mentioned her payment for the week was 200,000 parries, given in gold coins to save space. She was astonished by the amount she earned in just a week. Jade felt it might be low compared to his earnings, assuring her that a month's pay would total around 800,000 parries. Gina was utterly speechless at this outrageous pay, while Jade pondered when he could sell the Phantom Core for more money. At that moment, an idea struck him. He pulled out 3 Phantom Cores to hand over to Gina. She was surprised to see the Phantom Cores, which he said were her bonus. These cores were the guild's doomsday items, extremely rare and hard to stock. Jade reassured her that regardless of being Phantom Cores, they were merely magical stones. She declined, feeling they were too valuable to accept. Jade explained he couldn't sell them either, as they were mana cores from calamity-level monsters, which would cause a stir. He preferred Gina to use them instead of letting them rot in storage. In that case, Gina agreed to take them. The way she gazed at them made Jade think she definitely wanted them. He told her to let him know if she wanted to create something, and he would teach her the magic circle for that tool. Gina immediately requested to learn how to make a sharpener and a particle accelerator. Both tools were essential for sculpting. She also hinted at wanting something for cooking. This made Jade realize she was a foodie, eager to whip up something nice for herself. He sketched the magic circle. She expressed her gratitude for the sharpener and particle accelerator. She then inquired again if he was certain there were no magic tools to create today. Jade confirmed there was no phantom hunting today and planned to try a different method. Before departing, he mentioned she might need more magic tools soon and could reach out if she required anything. Gina agreed and took the day off, just as he suggested. Now before he sets off, Gina smiled and told Jade to take care of himself out there. Jade appreciated the warm send-off. He ventured to a location he had been eyeing after gaining enough strength. Jade traveled for a while until he reached steep mountain ranges. He declared he had arrived at the spot. Jade decided to prepare himself first. He aimed to enhance his interference skills for this quest. He learned the force reduction skill. This skill diminishes the enemy's attack power, which is crucial for a novice like him. This ability would help Jay fill his invincible progress bar more efficiently. He remembered that being hit by enemies would determine how much the bar fills. Using force reduction meant he could charge the gauge with minimal damage. He immediately upgraded force reduction to level 30. This enhancement expanded its range to 16 meters and reduced attack power by 90%. Jade allocated his remaining skill points to boost his magic power, as he would be using skills that require significant MP. There were still tasks ahead, but he decided they could wait until he gained more skill points. Now, Jay readied himself for a high jump. He tied a lead towards the mountain peak, activating barriers to use as footholds to ascend quickly. Jade noticed the scenery had completely transformed. He should be able to find the monster he sought in this area. He activated the search skill to expedite the search process, and soon enough, he spotted one very close by. Jade drew his sword. He braced himself to confront the metal rhino, an armored beast native to these regions. These creatures were quite formidable, yet Jade felt no fear in challenging them thanks to his eyes of X. The metal rhino locked onto Jade as soon as it saw him. This was precisely what Jade had prepared for. Meanwhile, in another part of the mountains, a mage named Belladonna. Her party stood frozen, having encountered something they shouldn't have. The tank questioned her about how this happened, as she was responsible for using search skills to keep them safe. She replied that her search had been active the entire time. This was an A-ranked group known as the Metal Slayers, currently out here to hunt metal rhinos. Velodon expressed regret to his team. Given the current situation, their group faced imminent destruction. At the same time, Jade clashed with the metallic rhino, sword in hand. He unleashed the increscent blade, slicing at the beast. His strikes targeted the vulnerable spots on the rhino's leg. He pierced through the creature. A cloud of dust erupted around the metal rhino. The rhino's legs showed visible fractures. Minion wouldn't be able to strike with full force, making it the perfect opportunity for Jade to charge his invincible skill. He braced himself for the rhino's assault, preparing for the impact. He activated the force reduction skill on the rhino, setting up the ideal conditions to quickly fill his invincible gauge. The final step was to endure the hits directly. The rhino's horn struck him head-on. He was sent flying several meters back. Gradually, he regained his footing. He used a healing spell on himself, surprised by the damage despite the reduced power. He also couldn't use the change magic tool on this creature. He realized the gauge was filling up faster than usual due to the rhino's hit. He needed to endure a few more blows. Jade was knocked back multiple times from the impacts. He repeatedly healed himself after each hit. Once the gauge was full, Jade activated his invincible state. A powerful magic aura radiated from him, glowing golden. Jade was eager to test his strength in this form against the metal rhino. He directed his energy towards and delivered a heavy strike to the side of its head. The metal rhino collapsed from the blow, but it wasn't finished yet. Jade leaped high into the air. He aimed a downward kick at the rhino's back. The rhino let out a pained roar. Jade maintained the force of his kick until the metal rhino was completely bent in half and perished. Jade stood by the corpse, checking his skill points. He gained a whopping 5,000 points from the metal rhino. His task was complete. Jade confirmed this method was effective for farming skill points. He upgraded his storage skill. He made it large enough to accommodate the metal rhino. Afterward, he exhaled in relief. He decided to move on to his next target. An hour later, Jade had amassed a total of 20,000 skill points. He had just finished off the 5th metal rhino. Jade observed that few adventurers ventured here, resulting in a higher density of monsters compared to the NSO he played. Regardless, he was content as long as it aided his progress. He was focused on accumulating SP and aimed to find larger prey. Jade purchased the skill immunity bypass from the shop for 10,000 points. He recalled it was an ultimate skill that circumvented skill limitations. For instance, Tim could use force reduction on monsters typically resistant to it. Next, he acquired the stealth search skill for 2,000 points. He upgraded it to level 2. Now he was fully prepared to hunt the golden metal rhino, the most formidable monster in this region. This creature dropped the ultimate loot and a significant amount of SP. However, it was adept at evading normal searches, which is why he obtained the stealth search skill. Additionally, he acquired the Nullify Weakness technique and upgraded it in advance, hoping to recover all SP once he encountered the metal rhino. He initiated the stealth scan but failed to locate the golden metal rhino. This indicated it was still beyond his detection range. He strategized to maneuver while his skill was active, hunting other metal rhinos along the way. Meanwhile, the Metal Slayer party confronted the golden rhino, aware that their lives hung by a thread. Their tank bluntly questioned their leader Belladonna about whether they would confront the beast or flee. Bella decided to order a retreat, the only option that offered a slim chance of survival. Even so, they needed to pray for a miracle. The tank felt the weight of responsibility. He resolved to act as a decoy while the others escaped. Bella stepped forward, asserting that if anyone was to be the decoy, it would be her. The tank inquired about her intentions, and she claimed she could buy them the most time. She felt deeply that this predicament was entirely her fault. She pleaded with her teammates to accept her decision. The tank glanced at the others, but they were paralyzed by the gravity of the situation. He regretted putting Bella in such a perilous position. Once she signaled for the retreat, chaos ensued. Her memories from that moment became a blur, chaotic and fragmented. She vaguely recalls every spell she cast, bursting like radiant sparks in the air. Her next hazy memory was of the tank being struck by the golden rhino's horn. Then came the image of the golden rhino charging at her, a harbinger of death. In that instant, a hand reached out to create a barrier, and she saw the boy with a sword rushing to save them. The golden metal rhino crashed into Jade's barrier. That image etched itself vividly in Bella's mind. Jade's barrier shattered just as it absorbed the full force of the golden rhino's assault. She couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Jade remarked that it was a narrow escape. Even a novice like him would have been toast if he had failed. Bella was taken aback to learn this boy was merely a novice. Novices were expected to be weak. Yet this novice had just thwarted a golden rhino's attack with a barrier, something novices shouldn't manage. Afterward, Jade activated the force reduction magic. She attempted to warn him that magic wouldn't affect a metal rhino. But then she stopped herself, realizing Jade's magic was indeed working on the golden rhino. Its attack was diminished by nearly 90%. She couldn't help but wonder who this boy truly was. Next, Jade noticed the golden rhino gathering strength in its legs. He anticipated a charge was imminent. Even with force reduction, he knew his barrier wouldn't withstand the next blow. But he was okay with that. He cast the barrier anyway, determined to lessen the damage and employ the same tactic as before. As the golden rhino charged closer, the barrier shattered upon impact. Jade absorbed the remaining damage, filling the invincible gauge. He endured the pain. It was the only way to conquer this formidable foe. Afterward, Jade activated the Eye of X. He sought the optimal spot on the ground to minimize fall damage. Jade landed on his feet. He braced himself for the next assault from the metal rhino. He didn't even have a moment to catch his breath. Meanwhile, Bella worried for Hen Equals. Even with reduced power, she feared he would be gravely injured at this pace. Suddenly, Jade activated the invincible ability. His bar filled from the last hit. In that moment, he radiated golden light, and Bella sensed something extraordinary was happening. She was witnessing a miracle up close. Jade stood firm, sword aimed at the golden rhino, feeling fortunate to encounter it on his very first day of hunting metal rhinos. He propelled himself off the ground to leap high above the rhino, evading its charge, and landed squarely on its back. Then, Jay positioned his sword vertically at the golden rhino's center and unleashed a devastating strike. It packed 50 times the usual power. The metal rhino let out a pained scream. On the surface, it appeared unscathed. Jade anticipated this outcome. Blood dripped from the golden rhino's mouth, and it collapsed lifelessly to the ground. Bella watched the entire battle from a distance. She was thrilled to see Jade actually bring it down. The golden rhino lay motionless. As Jade approached for a closer inspection, he realized his crescent blade wouldn't have pierced the golden rhino's tough hide. So, in his final attack, he executed a martial art technique known as the penetrating strike. This technique targets the internal organs of the prey. Jade inflicted severe damage to the golden rhino's insides. It felt like an earthquake within its body, leading to its demise. Jade remembered this tactic was popular in the NSO game. The best part about hunting the golden rhino, its outer shell was made of orichalcum. At that moment, Vela approached, taking Jade's hands to introduce herself and express gratitude for saving her and her party. She mentioned it might be a bit forward of her, but she had a favor to ask, help for her injured teammates. Jade inquired if the fine gentleman behind her was part of her group, referring to the tank he had healed earlier. The tank, Geyser, felt relieved to see Bella safe, as she had taken the most risks. She was also grateful they hadn't lost anyone in that dire situation. Geyser bowed his head in thanks to Jade for saving them. Jade told him to lift his head. He was satisfied with the spoils from the golden rhino. Moreover, Jade mentioned he just happened to be nearby while searching for a golden rhino. Geyser and Bella were astonished to learn he was hunting the metal rhino. Their reactions made him feel like he had revealed something he shouldn't have. Jade recalled that 30 minutes prior he had found the golden rhino with a party. He assumed they were there to battle it, until they started fleeing, leaving one member behind. Jade assessed the situation and realized they were retreating. It appeared the party's tank was already down. Given the circumstances, Jade jumped in to confront the golden rhino, thinking no one would object to him claiming the kill. But again, Jay insisted that his arrival was pure luck, just like finding them. Geyser and Bella initially struggled to believe him. Yet it didn't matter. They were fortunate to meet an adventurer capable of taking down a metal rhino. Geyser then revealed they were part of a ranked party specializing in metal rhinos. He assured Jade that the guild would reward him for his assistance and invited him to join them. Jade was open to returning if it meant receiving a reward, so they decided to descend the mountain together. As they walked back, Jade led the way. Bella suddenly had a thought and asked if she could inquire about something. Jade prompted her to go ahead, and she mentioned the earlier fight. Among metal-savvy adventurers, the Golden Rhino was notorious for its resistance. Despite her hopes for her magic to succeed, all her spells had been thwarted. Yet, she recalled that Jade's force reduction had worked on the Golden Rhino, so she was curious about how he managed that. Now that Jade thought about it, he was puzzled why the supposedly invincible Golden Rhino had been affected by his magic. It made him wonder if this world mirrored the NSO game, or if something was fundamentally different. He suspected he was in a world that resembled an earlier version of the NSO game. In that case, he opened the skill shop to see if a skill removed in a newer version was still available. Jade browsed the shop, realizing the cursed undead prison skill was still available. He purchased it for 140 points. Jade expected to be in a post-update world, yet some elements felt off compared to the latest version he knew. Out of nowhere, Bella warned Jade about an approaching monster. However, they lacked the MP to confront that shadow wrestler. Jay resolved to test his new skill. He activated the parallel jail spell against the shadow wrestler. A magical portal-like structure formed around its head. The shadow wrestler appeared bewildered by the prison. In an instant, it was pulled into the prison. Geyser and Bella were puzzled by the sudden disappearance of the shadow wrestler. Meanwhile, Jade unleashed a crescent blade slash right beneath the prison's magic. Just before the slash connected, the prison expelled the shadow wrestler. In a shocking moment, the shadow wrestler was sliced right before their eyes. The monster itself seemed oblivious to what had just happened. It was split cleanly in two. Bella's party stood in stunned silence. They began to inquire about the move Jade had just executed. Jay explained that he had used a skill called Parallel Jail, which could also work on the Golden Rhino. Bella found it odd that Jade possessed one unique skill after another. Geyser was curious and asked Jade about his job. Jade simply stated he was a novice, something Bella still struggled to accept.